Okay, good afternoon, evening, or whenever you're watching this. The screen may have just gone blank, so let me double check. No, you should be able to see it. I don't know why that one line's there, but this is Mrs. McDonald. I am doing a recorded class for our class that will be on Tuesday, August the 16th. I have to be away. I have to do a trip home to South Carolina to take care of my mother and a couple of very important appointments. So I will not be obviously online with you, but I'm recording this so that you can still get the same thing that I would have given you if you were there. You just won't be able to ask questions. If you have questions, feel free to shoot them to me in the text group. If you're not already part of our text group, you text to the number 81010. And in the message bar, put at ACTCLASSCH. Upper and lower really does not matter. I just do it out of habit. But that's how you can be a part of our online or our text group. When you text me anything, only I see it. No one else does. So it is a private text group for you. I send things out to everybody, just like you would have gotten this code. Hopefully you're already in there and would have seen it so that you can know to click on the link and be able to view this YouTube. I am recording it and then I will be uploading it to a YouTube video because that's the easiest way for me to make it accessible for you. If not, the file's too big. So just know that. Our classes are on Tuesday nights. Usually we say 5:30, but you will have something to do at 5:30. I'll post something on the Google Classroom. And if you're not already in that, please, in that text group, send me your email. 5:30 to 6 is independent and on your own. And then at about 6, we go online. So every Tuesday we go online. So if you're not in early enough, like at 5:30, it's not the end of the world. Okay, you can do whatever I give you to do later at a different time. Sometimes it's I get you to work a passage and then we work the passage. So that you would probably miss, but sometimes it's not going to be that. And usually the online will last till about 7:30. Sometimes it goes as late as 8, but usually about 7:15, 7:30-ish, I'm going to release you to then go try what we've done. Say we've worked through 1 or 2 passages, and then you will do the other 2 on your own. I will always give you the answer key so that you can check your answers. So that's Tuesday. It's basically an online class. On Thursdays, we are in person at Chamberlain in room 402, I believe it is, wherever you went in to go sign in. Like in guidance, you just walk through that room, go towards the left, and you'll see a sign that says McDonald's Classroom. Just walk through there, come on in. We have a huge classroom, plenty of room for everybody. That class starts at 5:30 and goes till 8 o'clock. Okay, you do not have to get there at 5:30. You do not have to stay till 8. This is an adult class. Okay, so if you need to come in late because you can't get out of work or you're working out childcare or whatever it is, please don't not come because you couldn't get there at 5:30. I still would rather you come and catch up with whatever we're doing so that you get something good out of the class. So those are first kind of housekeeping things. The other thing is some of you will be taking an upcoming ACT on a Saturday. Some of you will be taking the ACT with adult school. If you're a co-enrolled student, in other words, you are still in high school and you're in my class, which is completely fine. I'm glad to have you here. You are not able to take that test with adult school because it has more time. You get triple time of the ACT that adult school gives. These are for students who have already gotten out of high school but still need to pass that reading benchmark or the math. I may have some people that need to pass the math as well. Good news, if you do need the math, we are going to be having a math teacher that's going to start next week. and she's going to be doing an online day the day we're in class, and then she'll be in class the day that we're not. We're going to share the classroom in that way. So if that is you and you know you need the math, or you have a friend or someone that you know that needs the math, please tell them we have finally got an ACT math teacher. So that's going to be a great pull. Those dates, I don't have my phone in front of me, but the dates for the October extended time ACT, I'll have to look it up. I'll put it out in the text. You need to give me information soon. And I'll tell you exactly the information. I'll put it out in the text and I'll say exactly what I need so that I can sign you up. The deadline for that, I believe, is September the 6th. That's what somebody told me. I haven't heard it in writing. I usually like to wait to see if I see something in writing before I say it for sure, but that's what I think I know. It's a reliable source that told me that. So I'm going to need your information pretty quick, like, so that we can get you flipped around and get signed up for that test. And then we will continue working for it. The October dates, I believe it's the 2nd or 3rd week in October, but I'll send those at the same time. All right, so let's start talking about the reading section as it is. Number one, don't spend your time on reading those instructions. It just says answer the questions. Please don't sit there and stress over things like that day. What I'd like you to concentrate on is answering each of the questions in each of the stories. Let me back this out just a bit. This is my desk. You can see we are lightning fans. It's all over the place here, right? All right, your first passage is always going to be literary narrative, always. That just means an interesting story that's probably not true, right? It could be, parts of it could be embellished. Somebody's telling a story, basically. All right, your first passage is going to be that every time. You have 4 passages, and this is my symbol for passages. You have 4 passages. Each passage has 10 questions in it, 10 questions each. Every single time, and it's always a literary narrative first. The second is always going to be social science. The third one is always going to be humanities. And the last one is always going to be, hold on, I have my pages here, it's always going to be natural science. I would like you to keep data so that you know which ones of these passages you're the best at. We want to work smarter, not harder. If you find out that as you're doing these, every time you're not doing well on a certain type, that's the one I want you to do last. If you are taking it on a Saturday and you're stressed about the time, I usually say try to work one passage in 10 minutes. And then you'll have 5 minutes left to work on the last one. Well, we're going to smartly guess, and we'll talk about what that is later. But that gives you a chance to work on the 3 that you're strong in. The one you're not the strongest is the one that you're guessing on anyway. When I say smartly guess, you're going to be able to get like 3 to 5 easily on the smartly guessing. So please know that. For my students who are trying to get the reading benchmark, please keep this in mind. You only need to get 5 out of 10. Of course, more is going to be better, but you only need about a 50%. If you're working all 4 passages, which if you're taking it this October date with adult school and you're taking it 3 times the amount of time, I expect you to work all 4. And I expect that you'll get at least 5 correct. Some of them you're going to get 7 or 8. 1 or 2 you may get 4 or 5. So it should even out. In order to make the 19 that most of you that are in the class so far need, so far everybody in the class needs a 19. If someone comes in later, I'll have that conversation with them, but everybody right now needs a 19. 19 points, a score of 19 does not equal 19 questions. That's not what that means. If you were to get 5 from each passage, you would have gotten 20 correct. And you probably would have scored about a 22, maybe 23 or 24, depending on which questions you get correct. So you can see where knowing that 50% should let you breathe a little easier. That's all you really need is about 50%. So overview of what we're trying to do. Today, we're going to work this passage, this first one. I'm going to zoom it back in a bit so you can see it better. And this is how I would approach this. All right. The first thing I know is that it's literary narrative. I've got my mindset. Okay, somebody's telling me an interesting story. Okay, that's what I know. It says this passage was adapted from a novel. Okay, it is a novel. A Map from Home. I don't know the name of that, but it might help me. And I don't recognize the name of that. It might help me later to know. And it's by Rhonda Jahar. Okay, I don't know, and it might be a little presumptuous of me, but this doesn't sound like an extremely American name. This could be written by someone who lived in another country or maybe still lives in another country. I don't know this, but I do notice that, it's not Susie Jones, right? It's not a name you hear all the time as being American. I'm just putting these pieces of information in my head so that I can test the best that I possibly can. I do notice it says it's copyright in 2008. 2008, we're going to call fairly recent. Yes, that's 20 years ago-ish, almost, but it's not really in the grand scheme of history that long ago. If it had said something like 1960 or 1950, the life was very different then. There was no internet. If you had a TV, you had one. Most families were together. Divorce didn't happen near as often. People did not move across the country for jobs. When you were born somewhere, you pretty much lived in that basic area. If you had a story that was played from the 1900s, from the 1920s or the 1860s, they didn't go to the bathroom in the house. There was an outhouse that you went to. They did not have cars in some of those years. You need to put yourself in whatever time frame your story is in. This one in particular, I would call it fairly current. Okay, we had internet, social media is bigger. Of course, we have a lot of social unrest in our country, those types of things. But in the grand scheme of things, life was basically the same. Thinking about several decades, it's basically the same. I'm going to read the first paragraph-ish. I noticed this paragraph is not real long. I don't know if I'll read it all. All I want to do at first is just get lay of the land. What basically is the story about? Then I'm going to go to my questions because I'm going to work smarter, not harder. I'm going to go look for the answers more specifically than just reading all this. If you sat and read all this, you will have had way too much information going in and you don't know why. You're not reading for a purpose yet. So all I want to do here is just get the basic idea of what's going on. It may mean I read the whole story, the whole passage. Sometimes I may read 2 or 3 passages. I don't know. I just wait till I feel like, okay, I kind of know what's going on. So let's read together. I don't remember how I came to know this story, and I don't know how I could possibly still remember it. On August 2nd, the day I was born, my Baba father, okay, Baba father is not a term that I know, when I hear Baba, I'm not going to think of father, but now they're telling me this means father, so I need to pay attention. My Baba stood at the nurses' station of St. Elizabeth's Medical Center of Boston. Okay, so they're in Boston. So that throws out my idea that this may be happening in another country. With a pen between his fingers and filled out my birth certificate. He had raced down the stairs seconds after my birth, as soon as the doctor assured him that I was all right. While filling out my certificate, Baba realized he didn't know my sex for sure, but it did not even matter. He'd always known that I was a boy. Okay, so my person talking, my narrator, is a boy, a male. Had spoken to me as a boy while I was in Mama, and as he approached the box that contained the question, name of child, he wrote with a quivering hand in his best English cursive, Nidell. Now, here's another thing. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. It could be Nidell, it could, whatever. To me, today, it's Nidell, all right? Do not stress over names. If it was something I couldn't answer it, I couldn't pronounce it all, I might call this person N. Something to just let me know the name of it, but move on. All these little things, when you try to pronounce words that you don't know, especially names like that, it's going to cause you stress. We don't want that day. I'm calling it Nidell. That may be right or wrong. It's my story. I'm calling it Nidell. strife or struggle. Okay, her name means, or excuse me, his name means strife or struggle. Okay, it was not my grandfather's name, and Baba, whose name was Wahid, I might need to know Baba's name, Wahid, and who was known during his childhood as Saeed, okay, he's got two names, was the only son of the family. So onus, the onus of remaining a son after my renaming a son after my grandfather fell squarely upon his shoulders. What does this mean? The onus, if you don't know the word, don't stress over it. What are they saying? He was the only boy, so he was supposed to name his child after the grandfather. Well, is the grandfather's name Nidell? I don't know. I'm going to keep reading. It was this onus he brushed off. Ooh, he brushed it off. He said, no, I'm not doing that. And then solid shoulders unceremoniously, like a piece of lint or a flake of dandruff. These are the analogies my grandfather the next day would angrily pen in a letter. Okay, so the grandfather's angry. You didn't name him after me. In a letter from Jenny to Boston. I don't know where this I don't know where this place is, but this is where the grandfather is. This is probably confirming the family comes from another country to me. While that may or may not matter, I'm just remembering all this. All right. So let's just mark this whole paragraph. Everywhere I read, when I read it, I'm going to mark it. I've got the basic story. Here's this kid that was born. His father named him something that he wasn't supposed to name him, and the grandfather is upset. It was tradition in this family, and he was the only male. Baba, the father was, so he was supposed to name him after the grandfather. We assume it's not Nidell, right? We don't know what the grandfather's name was. So what I'm going to do, I've got a basic story. It's probably going to be about the way he was named, why he was named, there's maybe strife in their family, something like that. I'm going to move on now to my questions. This is where I'm going to spend more time than I am with the story. Yes, you need to read the passage, but not the whole thing, and you need to read it for purpose. The main thing you need to do is answer these questions correct. The smartest way, the best way to do it, when I say we work smarter, not harder, is to concentrate on the questions. Spend more time with the questions than you do the article. You're going to go in and read as what you need to read to get the answers to these, but the real deal is you got to get these answers right. So let's look. The point of view from which the passage is told can best be described as, we already know this. First thing I'm going to do is read the question. What does it ask me? Point of view can be described as what? What point of view? First person narrator. Okay, I'm just looking at that. First person narrator. First person narrator. Whoa, okay. An omnipotent third person. Is a third person telling us this information? No, he's saying I, my, me, all that kind of stuff. There is no way that C is even a possibility. I'm not reading the rest, I'm leaving it there. A limited third person. No, I just said it's not a third person. We know it's a first person. Now, I would like you to literally strike through these. Keep in mind, when I'm writing on this, doing it this way on the Zoom, I may not have my lines in the right place, so work with me on that. What I know is it is not C and it is not D. Those two things I know for sure. It is definitely first person. So then I'll go back and I'll read more. A first person narrator who creates a story about her parents and the birth of their first child and the events which happened before the narrator was born. Did the things that we've heard about so far happen before the narrator was born? No, it's after he was born. So we know it is now not A, can't be A. The only answer it can be, I don't even need to read it, but I probably will just to make sure. Who offers insight into characters and thoughts relating the actions, mainly from the time she was too young to remember. Can she remember when she was born? No. I know I have the correct answer. I put my big old check and I'm moving on. You don't always get to answer them right away. There'll be some we will not be able to answer. I'm moving on to the second. The narrator mentions a piece of lint and a flake of dandruff, primarily two. Okay, I remember hearing that. Piece of lint, and a piece of flake of dandruff, primarily to imply, provide, emphasize, and illustrate. You're going to see me doing these. And I am not going to read the rest because just from those 4 words, not right off the bat, those 4 words I'm going to be able to pick out. I will give you a good piece of information. Whenever you see a picture of what is happening, if you hear something that says, oh, the child was sitting on the grassy knoll beside her mother, and they were watching the boats go by as they, if you're picturing this going on in your mind, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be illustrated. So watch for that. If you don't get a picture in your mind with whatever they're telling you, it's not going to be illustrated. So let's just go first. To imply, all right, a piece of lint and a flake of dandruff. Well, let's go read where that was. I remember it. All right. It was this onus. Now this means this word means responsibility, like it was his one job. That's what he was supposed to do. He brushed off then his shoulders unceremoniously, like a piece of lint or a flake of dandruff. I literally can envision the guy doing that. I've got a picture in my mind. Did he literally do that? No. But did I come up with a picture in my mind? Yes. And that's what I'm saying. Be careful with those because those are the ones that they're trying to tell you, it's illustrate. So I'm going to go here to illustrate and look. The casual way in which the narrator's father ignored a tradition. Didn't we just say that? Yes. Strong possibility. I like J. I don't know if it's the right answer, but I know I like it. I picked it before I ever knew this was a question. To imply that the narrator's grandfather didn't value family traditions. Well, did the grandfather value family traditions? Absolutely. He's ticked off because they didn't name him after him. So there's no way it's F. That's the opposite of what happened. Provide examples of movements Baba made while filling in the birth certificate. Did he literally make these movements? No, he did not. This was a figurative thing, right? To emphasize the importance of naming a baby after the grandfather. Well, if it was important, he wouldn't have brushed it off like a piece of lint. So that's the opposite. So we are correct, knowing that J is it. Look at us. We have 2 answers. Yay. Moving on. Based on the passage, based on the passage, Mama's reaction to learning the name Baba gave to the baby can best be described as, we have not even heard anything about Mama, have not heard Mama's name. But what I know is Mama's reaction can be described as something. I might go through and say disapproval, annoyance, embarrassment, or shock. Okay. The second parts of these say followed by. I'm not even going to read that. When I find out what Mama's reaction was, if it's not one of these, it can't be one of the second ones. So I'm going to leave it there. I can't answer that now. I am not going to go try to find where Mama's reaction is. Not yet, I'm not. All right, then move on. The sequence of actions described in the 7th paragraph, and I love it when they tell me where the 7th paragraph is to make sure I know I'm in the correct place. These lines can best be characterized as, okay, we got to read the 7th paragraph no matter what. And what are we looking for? The sequence of actions can best be characterized, all right? These actions can be characterized as what? Baba's exaggeration, a scenario the narrator imagines, the story of how Nidell got her name, or a memory that the narrator shares. Right off the bat, that's going to jump out at us. That's very explicit, right? So let's go look at lines 54 to 68. 54 to 68. And this is what I mean by reading with a purpose. I know I have to read this paragraph. All right, so keeping in mind what I'm looking for, let's read. Mama must not have fought long, or who knows, maybe she went to the nurse's station and talked to Rhonda. Ooh, this is about Mama's reaction too. It might help us, right? Or maybe she went to the nurse's station and tried to talk to Rhonda, and maybe Rhonda told her that the birth certificate was already sent, that Mama would have to go to the office of the city of Boston clerk and see the registrar of vital statistics where they keep the birth and death certificates. And maybe Mama, maybe there's a lot of maybes here, we don't know, who was the most superstitious of all humans, even more than Baba, had that she'll attest, shuddered at the thought of taking me, a newborn, through the heat of the Boston traffic to where she must have imagined people went to fill out their death certificates. She must have further imagined that going on such trip to such a place would surely bring about my death because I still have my name. Okay. What did we hear in this paragraph? Let's don't worry about Mama's reaction, but let's don't forget it. What did we hear there? We heard she's guessing about Mama. What was Mama's involvement or not involvement of it? Okay, Baba's exaggerated account of Mama's trip. Did Mama make the trip? No, Mama did not make the trip. It said maybe she did. In this paragraph, at least we don't know that. Maybe she made the trip in another paragraph, and they're trying to play on you reading something else and remembering that. That's why it's a good idea to read with a purpose only what they tell you. All right, a scenario that the author imagines, ooh, I like that because there was a lot of imagining in there, wasn't it? Could have happened, yes. That at least is not wrong. She said many times, maybe she, all right, when nothing was definitive. The story of how Nadal got her name from Mama's point of view. Did we hear anything from Mama's point of view? No. Mama's point of view makes this one incorrect. We still only heard it from Nadal's. A memory that the narrator shares. Is she remembering a memory? No, she's not remembering. She's predicting or imagining. There's our major word right there. I know I've got this one right. This one is G, and I'm moving on. You might notice that I am not going to bubble in right now. I'm going to finish all 10 of these questions. When I finish all 10 in that particular story, then I'm going to go to my bubble sheet and I'm going to go bubble in number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. That's working smarter, not harder. This may seem like, oh, miss, it's not a big deal. I can do those. We're jumping around. It is likely that you may not get them in the correct place. We don't want to take that chance. We also want to work smarter. If I'm doing it this way, I've got my hand, here's A, here's B, here's, here's number 3, number 4. You're going to be more accurate. It's going to take you a lot less time than stopping every time you get a right answer and bubbling in. Wait until 10 are over, then go do all 10 at one time. All right, yay, we've got 1. Now, we talked about what was Mama's reaction. So why don't we stop right there and go back? Let me tell you this, usually in an ACT, if I find the answer to number, what was that, number 4? Yeah, number 4, usually the answer to number 3 is somewhere above it. Let's say that 2 was over here and 4 was here, then I know it's somewhere in between there. I happen to notice right up above that it talks about Mama, so why don't I just go back and read? Moments later, Mama, who had just been informed of my nom de guerre, her name, right, got out of bed and walked to the elevator. The entire time ignoring Baba. Ooh, if she get out of bed and she just had a baby and she's ignoring her husband, she's probably not happy, right? Who was screaming, Nidell is a beautiful name, so unique. Come on, Ruse, don't be so rash. Rash, don't be such a haste. Don't make a decision too quickly, right? You mustn't be walking. You need to rest. So there we know right there. I'm going to mark that I read it. Mama's ticked off. Mama's not happy. Let's go back and look. Does she have disapproval? Yes, she definitely has disapproval. Does she have annoyance? Yes, she does have annoyance, right? Does she have embarrassment? Probably not. The other 2 we know for sure. I didn't hear anything about being embarrassed. Or does she have anything to do with shock? No, she gets up and walks out. She is ticked off. So we know it's not C or D. Now, we know the first 2 could be true. I kind of like disapproval before I like annoyance. If she's annoyed, she probably would have laid in the bed and said, oh my gosh, really? What did you do that for? Right? She wouldn't have gotten out of the bed after just delivering a baby. So let's say disapproval followed by resignation or amusement. The paragraph that we read, was she amused? Did we hear anything about being amused? We did not. So let's get rid of it. All right, even if we're not sure what resignation means, we're going to have to pick some answers sometimes that we do not know what a word means. We know she had disapproval. She was ticked off. And then she went to not amusement. So we know that one's the right one. Resignation means, well, guess there's nothing I can do about that. Ooh, that is what we heard, didn't we? She did not go down there to the place in Boston so that she could be mad about it and change the name. She did not do it because she was too superstitious. So that lets me know this answer is A. We're on a roll. You will not always get to answer these in a row. Don't let that bother you. But on this particular one, going back right then was valuable because we were right there when we learned about Mama. All right, let's look at number 5. The narrator concludes that Mama didn't go to the office of the city of Boston. Okay, yay, it's right where we are, based on the fact that what? Well, what did it tell us? Let's go back to that paragraph. She said that she mustn't, let's see, she must have imagined people went there to fill out the death certificate. She must have further imagined that going on such a trip to such a place would surely bring about my death. Remember, she's superstitious because I still have my name. Boom, I still got my name. Why does she know the Mama never took the trip? Because she still has her name. That's the answer we're looking for. If you'll try to make sure you have the answers before you read those answer choices, or maybe just the first words, you'll come out a whole lot better every time. Baba believed it would be unlucky. Are we even talking about Baba? Nope. We are not talking about Baba in this one. Going there would have required taking the baby out in a winter storm. I heard something different when I read this. I heard something about the heat. Where is it? I know it said something about the heat. I'm just not finding this particular second. City office and see the registrar where we kept going. Here we go. It through the heat and the Boston traffic. Also, I did remember that she was born in August. Boston is cold, very cold. I've been to Boston when it's cold. My sister lives about an hour and a half away. It can be really cold, but not in the summer and not in the heat. So I know for that reason, this second answer cannot be true. They're trying to trick you. But thinking Boston, cold. Yes, don't do it. Read what they give you and pick answers from there. All right, Mama had a tendency to change her mind quickly. Well, they want you to fall for that one because the dad said, hey, I named the baby this. She's ticked off. She gets up out of the bed, goes to the elevator, and then she must have never gone. She must have changed her mind. We don't know that she changed her mind quickly, do we? We don't know about that. So if we don't know it's wrong, leave it there. The last one, the narrator still has the name Nidell, exactly what the story told us. So we now know our answer is D, and we move on. All right, now it says in line 78, the phrase, these stories most nearly refers to what? I'm not even going to look at these. I don't see some, well, or I can say conflicting, something about notebooks, embellished tales, or the narrator's accounts. Okay, just a little bit I might want to know. Oh, hold on. I think I'm going to have to, yep, my hand is back. Hang on just a second. Sometimes this happens when I do longer videos. Looks like it cut me off. So give me just a second. I'm going to have to share again, and I apologize. I am not dressed well. I went on a walk and I'm hot and sweaty. So please don't look at me. Okay, let me share the screen again. It looked like it froze. I don't want it to be messed up for you. And now I can see my hand moving, so I'm going to assume you can see it well again. All right. It will not let me make it big, but I'm going to assume it's big on your screen. So I'm going to move on. All right, these stories, and I looked at this, then I'm going to go look at line 78. Okay, great. Look at this. It's right here. If you didn't notice before, there are numbers beside all these. Here's 76, 77, 78, 79. So it means the very end of this paragraph, right? These stories, why don't I just read that whole thing? I'm on a roll right here, and it's been helping me, right? So I'm going to read this paragraph, knowing I'm paying attention to the stories in 78, right? So whenever I imagine Baba running out just after my birth and sliding through the hallways like a movie star, I knew he must have embellished, okay? He must have embellished. Baba liked to do that. Tell stories, they're talking about the stories, right? That were impossible but true all at once, especially if those stories made him look like a rock star. This is because he used to be a writer and was now an architect. Okay, we have not heard that he was a writer and is now an architect. I don't know if that's important. I might want to know that later. Our little apartment was filled with blueprints and plastic models of houses instead of notebooks and poetry, a reality that filled him with great sadness. So Baba put sadness into these stories. All right, these stories that he's talking about, okay, when the Baba tells his tale, like maybe he didn't rush out the minute the kid was born to go down to go fill out the name. Maybe he just embellished it. That's you know, he made it sound like that. Hopefully he didn't walk out and leave his wife there as soon as she popped the baby out, right? But let's go see. The stories that he's talking about, the ones that the Baba tells. He's sad because he wishes he could tell stories. He wanted to be a writer. He was a writer, but now he's an architect. That's kind of a strange profession change. A writer is usually very creative. So is an architect, but they're a whole lot more math and science and proof and not a lot of wiggle room there. So that's striking me as something different. Let's see. All right, these stories most nearly refer to the conflicting stories about the origins of Nidel's name. Okay, are we talking about something that he's saying, no, that's not how she got her name? We've not heard that, have we? I'm not sure, but I don't think it's right. I'm going to leave it there for a second. Baba's notebooks and poetry. Are they talking about that in this one? Maybe I may have to read that, but I heard something about books and poetry. All right, I know I like that one better. Now I know I don't like F. All right, the embellished tales that Baba liked to tell. Boom, that's exactly what I heard. But I want to make sure I'm not talking about the books and the notebooks and poetry. The narratives accounts of her family's time in Boston. Are we talking about what happened when she lived there? Kind of, but not really, right? That's the one they're trying to get you on. So let's go back and look. What about these books and poetry? Our little apartment was filled with blueprints and plastic models of houses instead of notebooks and poetry. He wished it was filled as this. The dad wishes this, right? A reality that filled him with a great sadness. So Baba put his sadness into these stories. No, it's not filled with books and poetry like Baba would have liked. So it's the opposite of that one. So it is H. And I'm moving on. According to the passage, which of the following emotions, okay, we're looking for an emotion, does Baba and Mama share regarding their professional lives? Whoa, we just heard Daddy's, right? Daddy's sad, and it even gives sad as an option. Dad's sad because he doesn't get to write. He has to be an author. We don't know if Mama is or not, right? This is our question. What about Mama's job? We have not heard anything about Mama's job. I am moving on. See, yeah, I think we're still good. It's saying we're unstable, but I think it's still, you can still see. Of the following characters, which one does the narrator describe as the most superstitious? Okay, we already know that one. Who was the most superstitious? Mama was. Let's go back and see. Remember, I read somewhere she was the most superstitious. Over here, she fought long and hard. Mama, Mama, who was the most superstitious, has it right there. Mama, who was the most superstitious, even more than Baba. So I know she's the most superstitious. I just remembered her saying that. So that one is Mama. It's definitely not Baba. It wouldn't be herself. And we don't even know who Rhonda is. Rhonda was at the hospital. I don't know if she's a nurse, an aunt, I don't know, but we know it's Mama. That's an easy one. So then we move on. Number 9, the narrative most strongly suggests that Mama does which of the following when Baba tells the stories. Okay, remember the stories he tells. What does Mama do when he tells the stories? We don't know. I'm moving on. In the passage, the narrator makes which of the following distinctions? Well, obviously we don't know because we haven't even looked at them yet. Home is a place of embellished stories. Home is a place of embellished stories. That might be true. Mama is a true rock star. Who was the dad? Thought he was the rock star. He told stories to make him sing. I don't know. Where Baba is an amateur musician, probably that's not true. We know he likes to write and he's an architect. We haven't heard anything about him being an amateur musician, but I'm going to leave it there because I don't know that it's not true yet. Being an architect made Baba happy. Do we know that? No, we know. Oh, yes, we know that it's not true. We know he's not happy being an architect. He wants to be a writer. Writing requires great imagination, whereas playing music requires great skill. Okay, I don't know why they're telling me that one. I'm going to have to figure that one out. When I look back, what do I want to know? What emotion does Baba and Mama have about their, do they both have about their professional lives? And what does Mama do when he tells these stories? So if I glance back at my paper, the only places I really haven't read are here at the end, and there's some there in the middle. Well, guess what? I'm always going to tell you to read the first paragraph and the last paragraph. The last paragraph is very, very short. These are just 2. Why don't we just go finish where we were? No problem there. Timing is still good. If you were working on a Saturday without this teacher talk, you're probably at about 8 minutes, something like that. So you're well within the 10. Mama liked to expose him. Ooh, Mama liked to expose him when he told such stories. She was his paparazzo, his story cop. This was because she was a true rock star. Then a musician who no longer played music. Our house was filled with Baba's blueprints and plastic models of houses with my schoolwork and toys and dolls and 100 half pairs of socks instead of a piano. Mama loved music, was a musician. She doesn't have a piano. A reality that filled her with great sadness. Boom. She's sad because she's not doing what she wants to do. We don't know what she is doing, but we definitely know they both have great sadness about their professions. Boom. All right. What is her reaction? She doesn't let him get away with it, right? Yawns and rolls her eyes in mock boredom. We know that's not true. She calls him out. Goes about her business and ignores him. No, she calls him out. Chimes in with the exaggeration and white lies. No, she corrects him. We heard that. Boom. Now, what was our last one? Home is a place of embellished stories. Oh, that we didn't hear anything about that. That is true, but let's go see. I'm guessing that's going to be like a theme, right? So it's probably going to be in the very last paragraph. I knew from the beginning that home meant embellishing. Boom. And that's why I love school. Okay, because there's no embellishing. Teachers were there. They taught us facts based on reality. Okay, home is embellishment. School is a reality, is about reality. Let's go see. Home is a place of embellished stories, whereas school is a place of facts and reality. There's exactly our answer. We know it is, right? Let's look at the others to be sure. Mama is a true rock star, where Baba is an amazing amateur musician. No, Mama is a professional musician. Not true. Writing requires great imagination, whereas playing music requires great skill. Did we hear anything about those things? No, we know it's F, and we're moving on. Now we have all of the answers to this particular story, right? So then we're going to go do our little bubbling in. If you'll notice, we never had to read some of this. Let me make it bigger. We never had to read this much of our story. Maybe a third of the story was not important to us answering the questions. That's why I say let's read with a purpose. Had we read all of that, we would not have remembered the details as well. Yes, I'm good at remembering those details, and that's why it helps me to be able to do that. But the more you practice, the better you're going to get. Like remembering that Mama was not happy, right? Or realizing right off the bat. Take whatever you're reading, put it in your mind in your own way. What do you hear from that? How does that make you feel? If you were writing this, what would you have meant by that? All right. I am going to let you do passages 2 and 3 on your own, but I'm going to run through the science one. Sometimes the science, give me a second. Yes, natural science, which is the 4th one. Sometimes the science ones, I'm not saying they're easy, but they are different. If it's a whole lot of organelles and biomes and it's just overwhelmingly sciencey, I personally check out, and I tend to find that other students do too. So if it's not, they're kind of straightforward. There's not a lot of, what did you understand from that? It's black and white. So especially my English as a second language students tend to do well on the English the reading, the science, as long as it's not real sciencey. So let's work one of these today. If you want to stop, take a break, please do, and come back to this. I know it's a lot to do it all at once, so I have no problem with that. By the way, when you read this, when you watch this video, please respond to me. It's the color blue. That's your code for today, the color blue. All right. I watched the video and the code word was the color blue. Then I know you really watched it, okay? All right, so moving on, natural science. This passage is adapted from an article. Usually it's factual articles. That's why there's not a lot of inferring in this. Make it a little bigger for you. All right. Worlds apart, seeking new Earths. Okay, that sounds like we're looking for new planets or something, right? By Timothy Ferreira. I don't know that name. I do notice it's 2009. It's by National Geographic. Okay, well-known publication, right? It took humans thousands of years to explore our own planet and centuries to comprehend our neighboring planets. But nowadays, new worlds are being discovered every week. To date, astronomers have identified more than, this might be important, 730 exoplanets. Worlds orbiting other, there tells you what an exoplanet is. Worlds orbiting other stars other than the sun. Many are strange. There's something, Icarus, I don't know what that is, that word, and remember, I'm not stressing over it. Icarus, like hot Saturn is what we'll call it, 260 light years from the Earth. Whirling, I might need to know 260 light years from the Earth, might be important. Whirling around its parent star so rapidly that a year there lasts less than 3 days. Circling another star 150 light years out is a scorched hot Jupiter, whose upper atmosphere is being blasted off to form a gigantic comet-like tail. 3 belighted planets have been found orbiting a pulsar, the remains of a once mighty star shrunk into a spinning atomic nucleus the size of a city. While untold new numbers of worlds have evidently fallen into their stars or have been flung into their systems to become floaters, they wander the external darkness. Okay, what that tells me right there is it's maybe a little sciencey for me, but it's not words I can't figure out or understand. I think I'm going, okay. They're talking about, okay, we got a certain number of planets. Remember, we used to have 9 planets. Now they say there are 8. It's changing. They said it's changing up here. But then you have other ones that are like little small planets because things are going all around the stars. Okay, I get that. That's not a problem. So what I am going to do is go ahead and go to my questions. Now, I do want to caution you of one thing. Sometimes when an article is not very long, they're going to have 1 or 2 questions down here, and it happens often. I would say once in a test. Usually there's only 1 in a question, 1 in a passage, 1 in a test. That you'll have 1 down here. Many times people miss these. If you'll kind of remember, it's always 1 through 10. You have 31, 32, right? You have to go look for number 1 of this particular one. And then hopefully you notice that whenever you're bubbling in later, but it's happened so often that students forget. Like if you forgot and you just went straight to the next page that has the next questions, and then you worked hard and got all 8 of these, and then you bubbled in, and then you realize, I missed 2, or you bubble in as 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Either way, there's a problem. So pay attention when you see the passage end with a blank, some blank space there. Make sure you're looking for 1, number 1. It's going to be 21, 31, 11, 1, right? Always a 1. So which of the following descriptions best reflects the way the passage is organized? Okay, so how is this organized? Well, I've only read the first part, but I might want to glancingly look. I might have an idea. It raises questions. Did I hear questions so far? I didn't. Focuses first on the search for planets. Did we hear about the search for planets? Yeah, we did. Then it does something else. Well, I've only read 1. Okay, so I didn't hear a question. So I'm getting rid of that one. I like this one better. All right. It defines planets. First, those of Earth's solar system. Did it define planets or exoplanets? It defined exoplanets, didn't it? Yeah, exoplanets, worlds orbiting other stars other than the sun. So is this a true fact? This is what I mean. These sometimes are easier in that it's got to be a fact. That's not what happened in the beginning. It refers to mythology. Did we hear anything about mythology? Greek gods? No. So guess what? I'm pretty happy with that one, and I'm good to go. The passage makes use of both technical terms and, rhetorical, figurative excerpts and excerpts from writings of astronauts or ancient astronauts. Okay, I don't know this. Not ready to answer that. I'm going to move on to my other questions. Number 33. As it's used in line 18, yay, I've already read that. I'll go back and figure it out. The term exotica refers to, let's go read it first. I might look and say the sophisticated something, the contents, the overblown claims, or planets and solar systems. Okay, that's just general. Let's go look at line 18. Actually, I didn't read 18, but only went to 15. So now I'm going to read a little more. All right, if I got to read the first, why don't I read? We learned that already. We're going to find that. If we're reading part, why not go ahead and read? We'll get ahead of ourselves. And it can help us. Amid such exotica, that's the word we're looking for. Scientists are eager for a hint of the familiar. Planets resembling Earth orbiting their stars at just the right distance, neither too hot or too cold to support life as we know it. So that's our answer right there. When they're talking about this, which is they're eager to understand what this is, right? No planets quite like our own have been found, presumably because they're inconspicuous. To see a planet as small and as dim as ours amid the glare of its star, like trying to see a firefly, is like trying to see a firefly in fireworks display. To detect the gravitational influence on a star is like listening to a cricket in a tornado. And what am I noticing? I'm seeing some kind of language, right? I'm not sure I'm ready to say the whole article's like this. It does take both technical terms and is it rhetorical or figurative? What does rhetorical mean? Means repeating, right? Or some kind of device. Am I hearing that? No. Am I hearing figurative language? Figurative language is when you describe something using something that you may relate to. Did I just hear that? Absolutely. I'm going to go with figurative language. It's only the second paragraph, but it's asking me, did they use it? If I don't hear more, or if I hear rhetorical, then I'm going to go back. Or if I hear writings of an astronaut or that, sometimes I don't go right away, but to me, that was very blatant up front. So I like G, and I'm going to move on. All right, so now let's go look at what we were just trying to figure out. Amid such exotica, scientists are eager for a hint of the familiar planets resembling Earth, orbiting their stars just as the right distance, neither too hot or too cold, to support life as we know it. So what's our answer here? Let's go see. The sophisticated equipment used is exotica, expensive equipment. No, we know that's not it. All right, the contents of our solar system, in particular the planets of Jupiter and Saturn. Have we heard anything about that in that one sentence? No, we did not. Overblown claims about planets far from Earth. Overborn claim. What? No, they said they're searching for them. That's all I know. I don't know if they're overblown claims. I don't know if I like it, but I don't think I know it's wrong quite yet. I don't think it's right, but I can't find specifically what I think is wrong. I didn't hear any overblown claims. They're just asking, are they there? Can we find them? Planets and solar systems vastly unlike Earth. Oh, there we go. And its solar system. Yes. What is that word referring to? Solar systems that are not like ours, right? Boom. There's another one. Number 34. Love the science ones that have the lines, right? This is helping us incredibly quickly to find the answers. What is the main idea of the second paragraph, lines 18 to 30? Lo and behold, we just read 18 to 30, right? What is the main idea of what we just read? They're having a hard time finding planets like ours. Many things. Let's see. The planet, to see a planet small and dim as ours is hard to find. It's like a firefly. It's like impossible to find what they're looking for. It's what I'm hearing. Let's go read. Remember, main idea is never a detail. It's an overarching idea. We are on Zoom. You are watching it recorded. We are working on the ACT. Your teacher is trying to help you increase your scores. If those were your three answers, what is your main idea? Your teacher's trying to help you, right? The details are we're on Zoom, you're watching it recorded, and we're working on the ACT right now. Those are details. Main idea is never a detail. It's the easiest way to get rid of them. Recently discovered exoplanets have disappointed scientists. Well, to me, that's a detail, isn't it? Boom. Is that what we heard in that paragraph? No. Some exoplanets were once thought to be stars at the center of the solar. Some exoplanets. No, they explained what an exoplanet is. They told us what it is. It's not some, that's what it is. Some recently discovered exoplanets spin on their axis at the same speed as the Earth. Did we hear anything about that? No. Now, this always makes me nervous because if it's not J, I've messed up. So just know, I get a little bit nervous, but I'm still going to trudge through. Planets that resemble Earth are extremely hard to detect. It's hard to find them. Didn't I just say that? Yeah, I told myself that. That's my answer, and I'm moving on. Number 35. The passage's description of the spectroscopic, whatever, Doppler technique indicates that it is a method used to identify what? So this some kind of Doppler, remember, I'm not stressing over names that day, is used to identify the intensity of light, the effect of the planet's gravitation, the speed, or the distance. I've got 4 choices there. I don't know where I'm going to learn that, but I'm not going to spend time right now. I know it's probably coming after passage 2 or paragraph 2, because that's what it's probably going to be, but I'm not going to go spend time looking for it now. I'm going on. Number 36, according to the passage, in order to confirm a possible planet using the Kepler method, scientists look for, okay, what are we trying to do? To confirm a planet using the Kepler method, scientists look for evidence, uninterrupted light, identical results, or 3 occurrences. To me, that's going to be an easy one to find, right? But I'm not spending time yet. I'm going to go look for that Kepler method, right? And where I'm going to find that, all right? But I'm not doing it now. Number 37, according to the passage, at the time the passage was written, how many exoplanets had their picture taken? Well, we already heard that. I underlined that number. Guys, I haven't worked this one in a very long time. 370 exoplanets, right? All right, I remember that. So I'm going back to, say, 37. I just want to check. Yep. All right, that's a strong possibility. I don't know if it was at the time, but I underlined that number. There was another number I underlined there. 260 light years has nothing to do with it. Okay, so that's at least what I think it is. I don't know about these other ones. When I see numbers, I love those kinds of questions because I can go find a 95, find an 11, find a 0, right? So I know that there were 370 exoplanets that had their picture taken. Whoa, there are 370 of you. You couldn't see them if you didn't take the picture, I guess. I'm leaving that alone for this minute. Moving on. I think it's going to be that. I don't know it. I'm not confident enough. According to the passage, right? Which of the following is a capability of the Kepler? So that's what you're looking for, capability of the Kepler. It can capture the light. It can determine the distance. It can travel up to 150 light years. It can determine the surface features. 4 very different ideas. When we find about Kepler looking for this other question, we're going to be able to answer that one. In the passage, Deneb and Vega, might not be saying it right, but who cares, are identified as, love when I have names, dates, places. They're easy to find. Are they stars? Are they planets? Are they scientists or former stars? Boom, 4 very different answers. I know I can find that one. According to the passage, what do scientists expect to determine about any given transitioning planet by combining the Kepler results with the Doppler observations? Okay, a lot of words there. Obviously, according to the passage, I'm going to wait till I see something that says Kepler results and Doppler observations before I really delve into that. I know I have to have both. I'm looking up Kepler for these 2, so why don't I just get my little handy dandy article here and start looking. I'm looking for, at first, right? Oh, well, it doesn't matter to me. I had several, sometimes I go back and do the number. It's up to you. You know, go back, try to do that one, looking for that word. But I had 2 or maybe 3 now that have about Kepler. So why don't I look for the word Kepler? To me, I'm just glancing. Okay, I see Kepler here. It might not be the first time, but it probably is. Let's just see. I don't see it before then. I'm just glancing. The United States, all right, I'm determining I'm going to read this one. The United States Kepler satellite is Corot's, whatever, more ambitious successor. Launched from Cape Canaveral in March 2008. I know this article was written a year later. Kepler is essentially just a big, okay, here we go. Kepler is just essentially a big digital camera with a 95-meter aperture and some kind of megapixel detector. So what is a Kepler? What does a Kepler do? Which of the following is the capability of a Kepler? It can capture light, determine the distance traveled, or it can determine surface. I don't know yet. Didn't really tell me. That wasn't quite enough, but I know it takes really good pictures. I can guess it might show me the surfaces, but let's go. It is essentially just, all right, it makes a wide field pictures every 30 minutes, capturing light of more than 100,000 stars in a single patch of the sky. All right, so what is our answer here? It can capture the light of 100 stars in a single patch of the sky. Exactly this answer. Right? Number 38, yes, is F. Boom. All right. I noticed the sentence behind has these two. It says, what are these two? That's what they're identified as. I noticed the two words came right after that. Sky between the stars, the bright stars, Debnet and Vega. Whew, they're stars. Our answer has to be stars. Stars at the edges of the examined area by Kepler. That's at least true. I have something else says former stars whose traveling light is still visible. Why would we call them former stars? I don't know. Planets, they're not, and they're not scientists. What do I know for sure? The only thing I know for sure is that they are stars that Kepler can see. I don't know about the former stars. They're trying to trick you with that. Don't fall for that. If it didn't say that, now you may want to keep an eye out for that those two names to see if they're mentioned later, but for the most part, that was there. This one just made me nervous because I have numbers and I can always go check numbers, right? This one I'm a little more comfortable with because I feel like they're tricking me and I don't want them to do that. So Kepler's results and Doppler observation, let's see. The computers on Earth monitor for brightness of all the stars over time, alerting humans when they detect the slight dimming that could signal the transit of a planet. Okay, I've read that. I see Kepler scientists down here. Why don't I go read the last already? Because that dimming can be mimicked by other phenomena, such as the pulsations of a viable star or a large sunspot moving across the star's surface, the Kepler scientists won't announce the presence of a planet until they have seen a transit at least 3 times. Kepler, 3 times, right? A wait that might be over a few days or weeks for a planet rapidly circling its star, but years for a terrestrial twin. All right, by combining Kepler results with Doppler observations, astronomers expect to determine the diameters of masses. Okay, by combining the two, they hope to inspect the diameters of the masses. And I know something about 3 times was listed, so I'm going to go back and look now. Something was 3 times. Where was this? 3 occurrences. Let's see if that meant, yes, here we go. It has to be J. When can you confirm using the Kepler method? When 3 occurrences of a slight dimming in the star that strongly increases over the planet. It said right there. That's when you can do it. J is the only one for this one. All right. Didn't know why that was important to me at the time. Oh, then we want to go and look here. This is what I thought I was going to answer, but I got this answer. All right. Kepler's results with the Doppler's observation. According to the passage, what do scientists expect to determine about any given transiting planet by combining both? When they combine them, what did it tell us? By combining the Kepler results and the Doppler observations, astronomers expect to determine the diameters and masses of transitioning planet. Diameters and masses. Diameter and mass. Now you see I'm not eliminating quite as much on this particular type because it's an exact answer. We've already got that. All right, the only 2 left are that spectroscopic Doppler and how many exoplanets. Why don't we go look for numbers? If I see any of these other numbers, let's just glance. At the same time, I'm looking for the Doppler. All right, those things would have to be somewhere here where we haven't read. Oh, look, only 11 exoplanets All of them big and bright and conveniently far away from their stars have yet to have pictures taken. Yay, I'm glad. And I have not done this one, I promise, guys, before. I mean, I've done it a year ago maybe, but not today by far. This made me nervous. Now I know exactly this answer. While that was the throwaway answer, and they wanted us to remember that, I saw 11 have not had their pictures taken. Make sure you read the whole question. I thought it might be that one, but now I know it's C. All right, and so now we just need to know about the Doppler. Here we go. I just happened to see that word Doppler there. In recent years, astronomers have redefined the Doppler technique so exquisitely that they can tell when a star is pulled from its appointed rounds by only 1 meter. I don't know if here's our spectro. I missed that word. Let's read that again. Most of the others have been detected using the spectro-Doppler technique, which is in which starlight is analyzed for evidence that the star is being tugged ever so slightly back and forth by the gravitational pull of its planets. So it has something to do with that. Let's go read. The spectro-Doppler technique indicates that it is a method used to identify the intensity of light. No, it's not the intensity of light. That's not what they're seeing. The exoplanet's gravitational pull, we just heard that possibility. See, the speed in which, no, they're not looking for speed. They're looking to see, can you see them? The distance, nope, it's not a distance. So our only answer is B, and we're moving on. And lo and behold, look at us. We've done them all. And I know I went fast on that one, but I wanted to show you how a science one at times can be very fast. This was maybe a little sciencey, but it wasn't like overwhelming sciencey. I just needed to look at the questions and read specifically what the information gave me. All right, what I'd like you to do on your own is you're going to work the passage on page 360, which is the social science. And then the passage on 362, which is the humanities. I'd like you to do those. And then I'd like you to respond in a text, letting me know the color blue, right? That's our code word for today. And then these are your answers. If you would like to screenshot that, or here, let me put it on a white piece of paper so it's easier to see. These are your answers. I will also put these in the remind if you want to screenshot that, or either just freeze it there. If you have any questions about our class or how to sign up or any of that, please get in contact with me. Like I said, I am not physically in the state, but I will be driving home at this point. I'll go up Monday night. I have 2 very important appointments with my mother. I'll be driving home Tuesday night. Maybe when some of you are looking at this, if you want to send me a message, I can respond on my car and do it through voice if you need something, or if not, just send me one. I will answer when I can. My job is to help you get more questions right. And I hope some of these tips and tricks are going to help you. I will see you in class on, what would that be, 16? So that would be the 18th of August, I guess it is, on Thursday, 5:30 at Chamberlain. All right, thank you for watching. Have a great afternoon, evening, whenever you're watching this.